Hello. Today we're going to revisit a mysterious murder case that happened on the night before Easter, 43 years ago, inside a small room of a church. The body of a nun was found, and after a thorough investigation, the prime suspect turned out to be the least expected person. However, due to interference from the church, the suspect walked free, and the investigation stalled. It wasn't until 23 years later that the case saw a surprising breakthrough. Forensic evidence expert Dr. Xuong Ngoc also joined the investigation. So what really happened back then? Let's rewind time and go back to 1980 to review the entire crime scene together. The city of Toledo is located on the shore of Lake Erie in northern Ohio, USA. Thanks to its favorable geographic location on waterways, it became a famous city in the Great Lakes region. Toledo is also known as the Glass City because of its booming glass industry. The story we're about to explore took place here on April 10, 1980, the day before Easter. Nuns in a small church of a charity hospital in downtown Toledo were busy preparing for the Easter vigil and service the next day. At 8:20 p.m., Sister Mary, who was in charge of rituals, went to the storage room to call Father Jera Robinson and discuss the hymns for the service. This room was right next to the church and about 20 square meters. When she arrived, Sister Mary found both doors locked, which surprised her because she had left them open earlier. Why would the doors suddenly be locked? Still, she didn't think much of it and took out her keys to open the door. As she opened the door, she saw someone lying on the floor. At first, she shouted, but then thought, in such a holy place, no one would dare to do harm. The window curtains were still open, so visibility was limited in the dim light. Her first thought was that it might be a medical dummy used for training. But as she stepped closer, the horrifying sight made her scream. It was Sister Margaret, the storage room manager, lying in an odd posture, her clothes disheveled, pants pulled down to her ankles, blood everywhere. Terrified, Sister Mary ran out of the room to call for help in the church. The police arrived quickly, secured the scene, and started the investigation. Margaret was 71 years old, originally from Southeast Ohio. She came from a family with 8 siblings. Although not wealthy, her family was happy. From a young age, Margaret was smart, studious, and eager to become a member of the Sisters of Mercy. The Sisters of Mercy was founded in 1831 by Catherine M., a Roman Catholic religious order. Their mission was to serve the poor, the sick, and the uneducated, especially focusing on women and children. Many nuns worked in education, healthcare, and community projects. At the time, it was a highly respected religious organization. Margaret's family was devout Catholic. 2 of her siblings also joined the Sisters of Mercy. The family strongly supported Margaret's commitment to the church. After graduating from university, Margaret officially became a nun, trained in nursing, and obtained a professional practice license. She worked in management and leadership roles in various charity hospitals in Ohio for decades. At age 62, due to hearing and memory decline, she was transferred to the small church next to the charity hospital in Toledo to manage the storage room. Her social life was simple. She was a perfectionist, strict, straightforward, and dedicated to her work. People who respected her thought highly of her, while those who disliked her considered her rigid and inflexible. Still, none of this seemed to warrant murder. Police found that on the day of the murder, Margaret woke up at 5 a.m. as usual. At 6:50 a.m. after breakfast, she left the dining room to head to the church to prepare for the Easter service. On the way, she met another nun and 2 drivers who had worked through the night. After that, No one saw her again until an hour and a half later, when her body was discovered lying in a pool of blood. The autopsy showed Margaret lying face up on the floor, with 2 wounds on her neck, arms stretched straight down along her body, palms down resting on her legs, eyes closed. Blood splattered on her forehead, left side of her neck, and chest. A long white cloth partially covered her right arm. Underneath her body was a wooden stake inserted into her private area, shaped like a cross. She showed no signs of struggle. At first glance, the scene resembled a satanic ritual. Doors and windows of the storage room were intact, with no signs of forced entry. Nothing was stolen. If the killer was a stranger breaking in, Margaret would have been alert, but since there were no signs of resistance, police believed the killer was someone she knew. Clearly, the murderer held a deep grudge against Margaret to kill her so brutally. The autopsy revealed a total of 31 stab wounds on Margaret's face, neck, and chest, all fatal. No semen was found on the victim's body. 9 of the stabs near her heart formed the shape of an inverted cross. The murder weapon was identified as a 7.6 centimeter long, 1.3 centimeter wide, 4-edged, diamond-shaped blade. Because Margaret's pants were pulled down and the wooden stake inserted, and the inverted cross was drawn on her forehead with her own blood, police suspected the killer was performing a satanic ritual. They believed the killer had deep knowledge of satanic rites and religious symbols. Satan is considered the embodiment of evil in Christianity. Satanists generally fall into 2 categories. The first group believes Satan grants great power to perform special abilities. They hang inverted crosses, use dirty water for blessings, use women's bodies as altars, sacrifice children and animals, and engage in sexual acts with the altar. Their rituals defile and desecrate things that are sacred and pure. The second group views Satan as a symbol of worldly desires. They seek to satisfy their sinful urges through acts of depravity, seeing this as a way to follow Satan. Police concluded the killer was someone Margaret knew, who resented her and had knowledge of religious rituals. But since no hair, fingerprints, or weapon were found at the scene, the investigation faced many difficulties. Just as police were stuck, a surprising suspect emerged. Father Jera Robinson, 42 years old, born in Toledo. Raised under strict discipline by his mother, he decided early on to become a priest. After many years in seminary, he was ordained at 26, and by 31 he was a well-known local priest, considered a role model for other priests because he had no record of wrongdoing. Could a man like him be connected to this brutal murder? During the investigation, a nun in charge of church chores reported that Father Robinson and Sister Margaret often clashed. Because of age, Margaret's hearing and memory declined, which frustrated Robinson when he had to repeat instructions. One day before the murder, they had a serious argument. Margaret was upset because Robinson unilaterally shortened the Maundy Thursday service. She believed even a priest shouldn't arbitrarily take away people's chance to pray and repent. She sharply criticized Robinson over this. Could this quarrel have sparked the murder? Did Robinson kill Margaret in a fit of rage? No concrete evidence supports this theory. Another priest openly told investigators he thought Robinson was the culprit, stating the relationship between Robinson and Margaret was very tense. After the murder, the hospital broadcast an emergency announcement calling everyone to the church. Many doctors, nurses, and nuns arrived, but Robinson showed up late. His bedroom was close to the storage room, so it was unlikely he didn't hear anything. Eventually, the hospital manager had to personally go get him. When he arrived, Robinson appeared calm and emotionless. which was not a normal reaction to hearing about a murder. This made his involvement even more suspicious. 1 week after the murder, several church staff told police they heard hurried footsteps on the second floor around 7:30 a.m., the floor with Robinson's bedroom. The sound was unusual for early morning. A doctor who heard the emergency announcement rushed to the storage room. Since he had never been to the church before, he initially ran the wrong way. While turning back, he saw a priest in a cassock hurrying by. He only caught a glimpse but remembered it was a middle-aged man with brown hair, around 30 to 40 years old, matching Robinson's description. If that priest was Robinson, it meant he knew something was wrong but did not go straight to the crime scene immediately, making his behavior suspicious. 2 weeks after the murder, police searched Robinson's room and found a letter opener about 20 centimeters long, with a four-edged, diamond-shaped blade. The handle had a copper circular decorative emblem. Its size and shape perfectly matched the murder weapon described by forensics. The knife was unusually clean, with no fingerprints or any other trace, clearly wiped down meticulously. Investigators found a small blood stain on the emblem, but it was too little to determine whose blood it was. Despite public pressure, police summoned Robinson twice for questioning. During interrogation, he dodged many questions. Outside the interrogation room, he acted cooperative, even risking violating church secrecy rules and expulsion, claiming he knew who the killer was because the culprit confessed to him. But when police asked for the name and details, Robinson hesitated, then claimed he lied to avoid suspicion and actually knew nothing. Normally, police would use a lie detector test in such cases, but Robinson's results were inconclusive, unable to confirm if he was lying. Though his reactions were odd, it wasn't enough to convict him. Later, police found out Robinson had taken sedatives before the test, explaining the unclear results. Unfortunately, police discovered this too late. Before the investigation concluded, the Toledo bishop colluded with the former deputy police chief to get Robinson released and quietly transferred elsewhere. This was a common practice to protect the church's reputation and cover scandals. Though many clues pointed to Robinson, lack of evidence meant no charges could be filed. After Robinson was transferred, the investigation stalled and the case faded from public attention for over 2 decades. In 2003, 23 years later, the Toledo police received a letter from a woman claiming that as a child, she was forced by a male cult to participate in terrifying satanic rituals. During the ritual, cult members dressed as nuns and abused her, painted an inverted cross on her, threw her into a snake pit, and placed her next to sacrificial objects, forcing her to keep silent. At age 11, the cult implanted a human eyeball in her, making her believe she was constantly watched. At 14, a cult priest introduced her to Father Robinson. She had multiple sexual encounters with Robinson in exchange for money. She repressed these memories until joining a support group for abuse victims. Then she revealed her secret and accused her abusers. Though the events were long ago, the letter's allegations against Robinson prompted police to reopen Sister Margaret's murder case. Unfortunately, after more than 20 years, many original files were missing, making the investigation challenging. Police re-examined the remaining evidence, focusing on the white cloth found covering the victim's body and the letter opener believed to be the murder weapon. The letter opener belonged to Father Robinson and was neither denied nor lent out by him. If the weapon could be proven to be the letter opener, it would indirectly prove Robinson's guilt. After forensic analysis and numerous experiments, investigators confirmed the letter opener's blade matched the cuts on the white cloth and the wounds on Sister Margaret's body. Among many blood stains on the cloth, one matched the intricate pattern on the letter opener's handle. Reopening the case not only brought a breakthrough in physical evidence, but also revealed Robinson's dark side. Besides the letter's accusations, another woman came forward, accusing Robinson of abusing her during a ritual. Verified reports showed Robinson was part of a secret group called Sisters of Mercy Masks, composed entirely of men who disguised themselves as nuns during meetings. Robinson was frequently transferred between parishes and demoted, showing that the church was aware of his problems. 1 year after reopening the investigation, police arrested Robinson at age 66 for murder. A search of his home revealed a large box in his bedroom containing hundreds of photographs of corpses in coffins, both old and recent. On his bookshelf was a small book on occultism, published before the murder. Marked passages included instructions for satanic rituals, using women's bodies as altars, abusing and killing them. Robinson's arrest shocked the public, splitting opinions. Some supported the police and believed he was guilty. Others thought Robinson was kind-hearted and couldn't have committed such a brutal act, claiming he was framed. Some supporters even raised $12,000 to help cover his legal fees. Under public pressure, police exhumed Sister Margaret's body for re-examination, calling on Dr. Xuong Ngoc for forensic analysis. The second autopsy revealed a small diamond-shaped wound on the victim's lower jaw, matching perfectly the tip of the letter opener. This further confirmed the letter opener was the murder weapon or an identical tool. Dr. Lai also studied all case documents and reenacted the crime scene. He believed the storage room was the first crime scene. Walls and furniture showed no vertical blood drips, indicating the victim was strangled from behind, unable to resist. Then the killer forced her to the floor and stabbed her multiple times. Blood splattered around and pooled near her head. Judging by the depth of wounds, the killer draped the white cloth over Sister Margaret's body, creating an inverted cross shape with 9 stab wounds through the cloth and clothing. The killer then removed the cloth and stabbed 22 deeper wounds. Clothing tears and wound shapes ruled out a regular sharp object. The blade must have had some curvature, like the letter opener. Chemical tests found bloodstains on the cloth matching the letter opener's handle pattern, likely left when placing the weapon on the cloth. At this point, investigators were nearly certain Robinson was the killer. On April 24, 2006, 26 years after the murder, the trial of Sister Margaret's case finally began. More than 30 witnesses testified, including police from the original investigation, the first nun on the scene, and experts from multiple fields. This chain of circumstantial evidence connected and supported each other, forming a strong case against Robinson. Interestingly, Robinson's lawyer presented a video of his police interrogation, aiming to prove Robinson never confessed. However, prosecutors used the same video to show Robinson attempted to confess. The video was recorded without Robinson's knowledge. At first, Robinson denied involvement, but after investigators left the room, he murmured softly, as if pleading. Prosecutors argued he was confessing to Jesus about his crimes. Though audio was faint, words like, "Oh Jesus," and "sister" could be heard. After nearly 20 days of trial and 6 hours of jury deliberation, the jury unanimously found Robinson guilty of murder and sentenced him to 15 years in prison. Robinson became only the second Catholic priest in U.S. history convicted of murder after Hans Smith. Robinson appealed multiple times in the following years, but all appeals were denied. 8 years into his sentence, Robinson died of a heart attack at age 76. With Robinson's death, The true motive behind the murder remains a mystery. Perhaps, as prosecutors claimed, Robinson couldn't resist Margaret and killed her to offer her to Satan. The truth may only be known to those involved. Margaret's case is not only a personal tragedy, but a dark stain on church history, a reminder of the dark side of humanity, no matter how holy one appears. That's the end of today's video. See you in the next one. Goodbye.